one of the things that adds a lot of character to any house is the trimming. And what we've done is we've upgraded the baseboards from the standard builder baseboards to these 9-inch baseboards. And what you'll see is you want to paint these ahead of time. So put on 1 coat of the paint, and this is actually Delaware Putty by Benjamin Moore, and it just provides a sort of more muted tone in the trimming. But what we're going to do now is put in the caulking between the trim and the wall. And I'm going to show you a couple of techniques that took me a while to learn, and what you'll need to do in order to keep a nice clean caulking line. So you want to put 2 strips, and I'm just doing this for illustration. Normally when I'm doing this I would put a much longer strip down, but what you want this piece of tape to do is really just go along the edge of the trim. Okay, and you want another piece of tape against the wall. Now, you could use, I'm going to sit like this, you could use the blue tape, which is also a painter tape. This is as well painter tape, but I usually use the blue tape, which is a little more expensive for projects where I need this tape on for quite some time, and then the blue tape makes sure it doesn't sort of stick on. But this we're going to actually just put on and then caulk it and then pull it back, so you don't need the blue tape. As far as the type of caulk to choose, generally I like to get white. I've tried almond colors and others, but I always find that white looks clean after it's done, and you can always paint over it if you need to. Look for one that's paintable, and this one makes it pretty easy. It's doors, windows, sidings, etc. And supposedly there's a 50-year guarantee on it, and I don't really know the difference between 30 and 50 years, but you know, maybe it's just a marketing thing. Or 20 years, thanks. What you want to do, if you notice, is I cut a hole and I made it diagonal, and I made it pretty small. And this is important because what you want to do is make sure that the caulking goes in between the trim and the walls, but you don't want a lot of splatter because that just makes a cleanup mess. You put it into one of these caulking guns, and generally I like it pointing this way, and oops, there you go. You want to shoot it against a piece of paper towel or something, not at someone. And what you do is you start at one end, and as you go, you can see how I'm just pushing it in, and this is where the diagonal helps because it's really helping to push the caulking into the bead, into the space between the wall and the trim. Okay. Now, one thing to notice is generally, now I exaggerated a little here, but generally you don't want to end off where the tape is, because what happens is when you run your finger along this to push it in, you'll find that some of the caulking will start to move, and what you want to do is make sure that it doesn't sort of splatter on the side. So you always leave a little room so that you can finish it off nice and cleanly. There you go. Okay, and you can see that it's nicely in there, and what you'll do now is go along and pull off the wall one, and you can see that all this caulking that could have been on the wall and would have been a mess you'd have to go back and paint over or try wipe down. And you know, the nice thing about caulking is it's supposed to stick onto things, right? It's supposed to seal things. So it doesn't make it a great product to try remove from walls. And generally what you'll have to do is then clean it off by painting over it. Similarly on this side, what you'll see is a nice clean line against the trimming. See? And that's how you get a wonderful, nice line. And what you'll notice is it's something that after you're done and you look far away from, it just looks like a nice, clean line against the wall. If you don't do the tape, you'll just notice little bits of caulking sticking out, and then it'll just drive you nuts. So anyways, those are a couple of tips on how to caulk, and then after you do that, the next step would be to paint this, as you notice, a second coat. And so then you'll have a completed baseboard that will add a lot of character to your home.
So you create